Dr. Hana Kim pressed her face against the observation window and watched the Vryn pack move through the purple grasslands below. She had been studying them for 6 months now, and every day brought something new to learn. The creatures were massive, each one weighing at least 500 pounds with 6 powerful legs and thick armored hides that could stop most weapons. Their teeth were as long as her fingers, and their claws could tear through steel. The planet Vrakar was classified as a Class 5 death world by the Galactic Union. That meant it was one of the most dangerous places in known space. Most alien species would die here within days, but humans were different. They came from Earth, another death world, and they could survive in places that terrified the rest of the galaxy. Hana turned away from the window and walked back to her desk. The research outpost was small but comfortable. It housed 20 humans who had volunteered to study life on Vrakar. The walls were thick and reinforced. The doors were triple locked. Everything was designed to keep the predators out. "Still watching those monsters?" Deho asked as he entered the lab. He was the head of security, a tall man with broad shoulders and a permanent frown. He never liked how close Hana got to the Vryn. "They're not monsters," Hana said. "They're intelligent. They have social structures, communication systems, and family bonds. I've documented at least 40 different vocalizations." Deho shook his head. "They're predators. They kill to eat. That's all they do. That's all any predator does," Hana replied. "But that doesn't make them monsters. It makes them animals trying to survive." Before Deho could respond, an alarm beeped on Hana's computer. She pulled up the surveillance feed from one of her remote cameras. The image showed a small cave about 2 kilometers from the outpost. Hana had placed the camera there 3 weeks ago after noticing Vryn activity in the area. Her breath caught in her throat. 3 small shapes moved inside the cave. They were Vryn cubs, maybe 6 weeks old. They stumbled on their 6 legs, bumping into each other and making high-pitched sounds. Their scales were still soft and their eyes were barely open. "Oh my God," Hana whispered. "They're alone." She checked the other cameras in the area. No adult Vryn anywhere nearby. The pack had moved on, probably during a hunt. These cubs had been left behind. "They'll die out there," Hana said. "They're too young to hunt. Too young to defend themselves." Deho leaned over her shoulder to look at the screen. "Not our problem. We don't interfere with native species. That's protocol." "Protocol," Hana repeated. She looked at the cubs on the screen. One of them had fallen over and couldn't get back up. Its siblings tried to help but were too weak. "They're babies. They need help. They're predators," Deho said firmly. Let nature take its course, but Hana wasn't listening anymore. She was already grabbing her field equipment and heading for the door. 30 minutes later, Hana stood outside the cave. She had brought a transport container, some basic medical supplies, and a stun weapon just in case. The cubs were still inside, huddled together for warmth. When they saw her, they made scared sounds and tried to back away. "It's okay," Hana said softly. "I won't hurt you." She moved slowly, keeping her body low and non-threatening. The cubs watched her with wide eyes. They were terrified but also curious. Hana had studied enough animal behavior to know that young creatures often imprinted on the first caregiver they saw after their mother left. She reached out carefully. The first cub sniffed her hand, then licked it with a rough tongue. The other 2 came closer. Within minutes, all 3 were climbing on her, making soft chirping sounds. Hana felt her heart melt. These weren't monsters. They were babies who needed help. She loaded them into the transport container and headed back to the outpost. Deho was waiting at the gate with his arms crossed. "You've got to be kidding me," he said when he saw the cubs. "They would have died," Hana said simply. "And now they'll die here when their pack comes looking for them," Deho replied. "You just signed our death warrant." Hana ignored him and carried the cubs to her lab. She set up a temporary habitat with heating lamps, soft bedding, and water. The cubs seemed to relax in the warm environment. One of them curled up and fell asleep immediately. Young Mi, the medical officer, arrived within the hour. She was a small woman with gentle hands and a kind smile. "I heard you brought home some guests," she said. "They need checkups," Hana said. "I want to make sure they're healthy." Young Mi examined each cub carefully. "They're malnourished," she reported, "and dehydrated, but otherwise healthy." "How old do you think they are?" 6 weeks, maybe 7, Hana said. "Old enough to eat solid food but still needing parental care. You know this is against every protocol, right?" Young Mi asked. "I know." Captain Binwoo is going to be furious, I know that too. Young Mei smiled. Good, because I think you did the right thing. News of the cubs spread quickly through the outpost. By evening, Captain Binwoo had called an emergency meeting. He was an older man with gray hair and hard eyes that had seen too many difficult decisions. Dr. Kim, he said, explain yourself. Hana stood and faced the room. 20 humans watched her, along with a holographic image of Ambassador Kelrith from the Galactic Union monitoring station in orbit. I found 3 abandoned Vrin cubs, Hana said. They were dying. I brought them here. You interfered with a native species, Kelrith said. His voice was high and musical, typical of his bird-like species. This violates Union law. Union law says we can't harm native species, Hana replied. I didn't harm them. I saved them. You stole them from their pack, Kelrith insisted. The pack will come looking. They will attack. You have endangered everyone in this colony. The pack abandoned them, Hana said. They left them to die. You don't know that, Deho interjected. Maybe the pack was coming back. Maybe this is normal behavior for their species. Hana shook her head. I've been studying them for 6 months. They don't abandon their young. Something went wrong. Maybe the mother died. Maybe the pack couldn't support extra mouths. But those cubs were going to die if I didn't help. Captain Binwoo rubbed his temples. What's done is done. The question is, what do we do now? Return them immediately, Kelrith said. Before the pack discovers what happened. We study them, Hana said. This is an unprecedented opportunity to understand Vrin development and social bonding. This is suicidal, Kelrith said. Humans never listen. You come from a death world, so you think you can survive anywhere. But Vrakar is different. The Vrin are apex predators. They have never been defeated. They have never been tamed, and you have just stolen their children. I saved their children, Hana corrected. The meeting continued for another hour. In the end, Captain Binwoo made his decision. The cubs stay, but we increase security protocols. Double the perimeter guards. Set up additional sensors. If the pack comes, we need warning. Kelrith's hologram flickered with agitation. This is a mistake. When the Alpha finds out what you've done, it will tear your colony apart. The meeting ended and everyone returned to their duties. Hana went back to her lab where the 3 cubs were playing with a rubber ball she had given them. They tumbled over each other, making happy sounds. Tae-Won, the communications specialist, stopped by just before midnight. The Union monitoring station is going crazy, he said. Kelrith filed 6 different reports about us. He thinks we're all going to die. Maybe he's right, Hana said. She watched the cubs sleep in a pile, their breathing synchronized. But I couldn't leave them out there. I know, Tae-Won said. That's what makes us human. Outside, in the darkness beyond the fence, something moved. The perimeter sensors picked up a massive heat signature approaching from the north. It was bigger than any Vrin the outpost had recorded before. The Alpha had caught the scent of its missing cubs, and it was coming. The alarm screamed through the outpost at 3 a.m. Hana jerked awake in her quarters, her heart pounding. She knew that sound. It meant something had breached the outer perimeter. She ran to her lab first. The cubs were awake and scared, huddled together in their habitat. Their small bodies trembled as they made frightened, chirping sounds. It's okay, Hana said, though she wasn't sure if that was true. Stay here. She grabbed her datapad and pulled up the security feeds. What she saw made her blood run cold. A massive Vrin was tearing through the outer fence like it was made of paper. This creature was easily twice the size of any pack member she had studied. Its scales were darker, almost black, and covered in old scars from countless battles. Its muscles rippled under its armored hide as it moved with terrifying purpose. The Alpha Deho's voice crackled over the intercom. All personnel to safe rooms. This is not a drill. Security teams to positions. Hana watched on the screen as guards rushed to their stations. They carried stun weapons and shock batons, equipment designed to discourage predators, not kill them. The humans didn't want to harm the native species. But as she watched the Alpha move, Hana realized those weapons might as well be toys. The creature reached the inner fence and simply pushed through it. The reinforced metal bent and snapped. Alarms blared from every direction. Lights blazed across the compound, turning night into day. The Alpha's head swung back and forth, nostrils flaring. It was tracking something, tracking the scent of the cubs. All teams converge on Sector 3, Deho ordered. Non-lethal force only. Drive it back. Hana watched as 6 security officers surrounded the Alpha. They activated their shock batons and stun weapons. The weapons discharged with bright flashes and loud cracks. The Alpha flinched but didn't stop. It charged forward. Deho stepped in front of it, holding the most powerful stun weapon they had. He fired directly at the Alpha's face. The creature's head snapped back from the impact. For a moment it seemed to work. The Alpha staggered, then it roared. The sound was unlike anything Hana had ever heard. It was rage and pain and determination all mixed together. The Alpha lunged forward and swatted Deho aside with one massive paw. The security chief flew through the air and crashed into a wall. He didn't get up. "Medical team to Sector 3, someone yelled over the intercom. Deho is down. The other guards scattered. The Alpha didn't chase them. It had a target, and nothing would stop it from reaching that target. It was heading straight for Hana's lab. Hana looked at the cubs. They were crying now, high-pitched sounds of pure terror. They could smell the Alpha. They knew something terrible was coming. Every instinct told Hana to run, to get to a safe room and lock the door, to let someone else deal with this. But when she looked at the cubs, she saw 3 babies who were terrified and helpless. They had no one else to protect them. She couldn't run. She grabbed the closest thing she could find, a reinforced steel rod that she used to prop open heavy equipment. It was about 1 meter long and solid. Not much of a weapon against an 800-pound predator, but it was all she had. The lab door exploded inward. The Alpha forced its massive body through the doorway, bending the metal frame. Its 6 legs moved with perfect coordination as it entered the room. Its eyes locked on the cubs. Then it saw Hana standing between them and it. The Alpha's lips pulled back, showing rows of teeth designed to tear through flesh and bone. A low growl rumbled from its chest. This wasn't an animal making a threat display. This was a warning. Move or die. Hana didn't move. Behind her, the cubs pressed against the back of their habitat. They were making soft sounds now, almost like prayers. They knew they were going to die. The Alpha charged. Time seemed to slow down. Hana saw every detail with perfect clarity. The way the Alpha's muscles bunched before it leaped, the angle of its claws as they extended, the exact trajectory of its attack. She had studied these creatures for 6 months. She knew how they moved, how they hunted, how they killed. At the last possible second, Hana sidestepped. The Alpha's massive body flew past her, its claws missing her by centimeters. But Hana was already moving. As the creature passed, she brought the steel rod down with every bit of strength she had. The rod struck the Alpha's front right leg just below the joint. The sound was horrible. A sharp crack that echoed through the lab. The Alpha's roar of pain was even worse. It tried to land on all 6 legs, but the broken leg collapsed under its weight. The creature went down hard, crashing into a bank of computers and shattering equipment. Hana didn't wait. She spun to face the Alpha, holding the rod in both hands. Her arms shook from adrenaline, but she kept her stance firm. The Alpha tried to stand. Its broken leg hung at an unnatural angle, the bone clearly fractured. The creature made a sound of rage and confusion. It had never been hurt like this before. Nothing had ever broken its bones. It looked at Hana with new eyes. Not prey, not food. Something else. Something dangerous. Hana met its gaze and didn't blink. She knew from her research that looking away would signal weakness. She had to show strength. Had to show that she wouldn't back down. "These cubs are under my protection," Hana said quietly. She didn't know if the Alpha understood her words, but maybe it would understand her tone. "You want them, you go through me." For a long moment, nothing happened. The Alpha and Hana stared at each other. Behind her, the cubs had gone silent. They were watching. The Alpha tried to stand again. This time it managed to get up on 5 legs, keeping the broken one off the ground. It limped forward 1 step. 2 steps, testing. Hana raised the rod. The Alpha stopped. It looked at the rod, then at Hana, then at the cubs. Something changed in its expression. Some deep calculation was happening behind those predator eyes. Then, slowly, the Alpha backed away. It limped toward the broken doorway, moving carefully to avoid putting weight on its damaged leg. At the threshold, it looked back one last time. Hana stood her ground. The Alpha left. The moment it was gone, Hana's legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees, gasping for air. The steel rod fell from her shaking hands and clattered on the floor. The security team burst into the lab seconds later, weapons ready. They found Hana on her knees in the lab in ruins. Blood on the floor where the Alpha had bled from its broken leg. The cubs chirping softly in their habitat. Young Mi pushed through the guards and dropped beside Hana. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay," Hana managed to say. "Check on Deho. He's alive. Broken ribs and a concussion, but he'll survive." Young Mi put a hand on Hana's shoulder. "What happened here?" "I broke its leg," Hana said. She couldn't quite believe it herself. "The Alpha came for the cubs and I broke its leg." Captain Binwu arrived, his face pale. He looked at the destroyed lab, the blood, the bent doorframe. "The Alpha?" "Gone," Hana said. "It retreated." "Impossible," Binwu said. "Vryn Alphas don't retreat." "This one did," Hana said. Up in orbit, Ambassador Kelrith was watching the security footage with his science team. They had seen everything: the breach, the attack, the confrontation in the lab. "Replay that section," Kelrith ordered, "where the human strikes the Alpha." The footage played again in slow motion. They watched Hana sidestep the charge and deliver the blow with perfect timing and placement. "Analyze her strike force," Kelrith said. Numbers appeared on the screen. The science team looked at each other in confusion. "This can't be right," one of them said. "These readings show normal human strength. Nothing enhanced. Nothing augmented. She's an average female of her species." "And she broke an Alpha's leg with one strike," Kelrith said quietly. He looked at the data again. "How is this possible?" "The placement," another scientist said. "She struck at exactly the right angle, at exactly the right point. It wasn't about strength. It was about precision and leverage." Kelrith sat back in his chair. "In 10,000 years of Union history, no species has ever successfully fought a Vryn Alpha in direct combat. We classified Vrkar as Class 5 because nothing could survive the Vryn. The humans survived," the scientist said. "No," Kelrith corrected. "The human won." Back on the planet, Hana finally stood up. She walked to the habitat where the cubs were waiting. They chirped and pressed against the glass. They wanted her to hold them. Hana opened the habitat and picked up all 3 cubs. They crawled onto her, clinging to her clothes and skin. They were still scared, but they felt safe with her now. She was the one who had protected them. "I've got you," Hana whispered. "I won't let anything hurt you." Outside the outpost, the Alpha limped back through the broken fences. The pain in its leg was intense, but it kept moving. The rest of the pack was waiting in the darkness beyond the compound. When they saw their Alpha injured, the pack made sounds of alarm and rage. The Alpha rumbled back at them, a complex series of vocalizations that the humans couldn't understand. But if they could have understood, they would have heard the Alpha say something that no Vryn had ever said about another species. Dangerous. Respect. Protect. The pack listened, and then together they all turned to look at the human outpost. The Alpha had failed to take the cubs, but this wasn't over. The pack was coming. Dawn broke over the outpost with an eerie silence. The destroyed fences hadn't been repaired yet. Bloodstains marked the ground where the Alpha had been, and beyond the perimeter, dozens of Vryn sat in a wide circle watching. Hana stood at the observation window with a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. She hadn't slept. The cubs were curled up in their habitat behind her, finally resting after the terror of the night. "They've been there for 3 hours, Taewon said as he joined her at the window. "Not moving. Not hunting. Just watching. Waiting," Hana corrected. She counted at least 40 Vryn out there. The entire pack. They're waiting for something. Captain Binwu entered the observation room with his datapad. He looked exhausted. "Ambassador Kelrith has been sending messages all night. He demands we evacuate immediately." "We're not leaving," Hana said. "The Union is threatening to revoke Earth's colonization rights," Binwu continued. "They say we've created a diplomatic crisis, that we've endangered the entire system." "Because I saved 3 babies?" Hana asked. "Because you attacked their Alpha," Binwu said. "Kelrith says we've declared war on a native species." "I defended myself," Hana said. "And I defended the cubs." "That's not war." Taewon cleared his throat. "Actually, there's something you should know. I've been monitoring Union communications. They're planning to send a fleet to extract us by force." "They can't do that," Hana said. "We have sovereign rights here." "They can if they declare it a rescue operation," Taewon said. "They're calling us hostages of the Vryn pack. They think we're trapped and irrational." Binwu rubbed his face. "Maybe we are. We're surrounded by apex predators. Our security chief is in the medical bay with broken ribs. And you broke their alpha's leg. What happens when it heals? What happens when it comes back? Hana looked out at the pack again. The alpha sat at the center of the circle, its broken leg extended carefully. Other pack members had brought it food. One was grooming its scales. They were taking care of their leader. Something clicked in Hana's mind. I need to review my research, she said suddenly. All of it. Every observation I've made about Vrin's social structure. She hurried to her office, pulling up months of recorded data. The cubs followed her, having woken up and wanting to be near her. They climbed on her desk and played with her stylus while she worked. Young Mi found her there 2 hours later. You should eat something. Not now, Hana said, scrolling through behavioral notes. I'm seeing something. A pattern. What pattern? Hana pulled up a video from 3 months ago. It showed two Vrin fighting over a piece of meat. The fight was brutal. Both creatures trying to kill each other. But when one finally won, the loser didn't die. It lowered its head and backed away. The winner ate the meat but didn't pursue. Dominance hierarchy, Hana said. She pulled up another video. Watch this one. A juvenile challenges an adult for a better sleeping spot. They fight. The adult wins. But look what happens next. In the video, the juvenile approached the adult again, but this time it was submissive. It lowered its head. The adult allowed it to stay close. The fight established who was stronger, Hana said. But it didn't end the relationship. The juvenile accepted its place in the hierarchy. Okay, Young Mi said slowly. What does this have to do with the alpha? Hana stood up, her eyes bright with excitement. The alpha didn't come to kill the cubs. It came to take them back. But when I fought it and won, I proved I was stronger. I established dominance. You're saying the alpha respects you now? More than that, Hana said. In Vrin culture, the cubs belong to whoever can protect them. The alpha tried to take them. I stopped it. That makes me their rightful guardian. Young Mi sat down slowly. That's insane, is it? Hana asked. Look at the pack out there. They're not attacking. They're not trying to break in again. They're waiting for me to prove I can take care of the cubs. How do you prove that? I don't know yet, Hana admitted. But I know I need to try. A meeting was called for noon. All senior staff attended, along with a holographic projection of Ambassador Kelrith. Deho was there too, his ribs wrapped in medical tape, looking angry and in pain. This is what Dr. Kim proposes, Captain Binwu said. She believes the Vrin pack is waiting for her to demonstrate she can care for the cubs. She wants to approach them. Absolutely not, Deho said immediately. They'll tear her apart. They had the chance to do that last night, Hana said. The alpha could have killed me, but it retreated. Because you heard it, Deho argued. You think it's going to let that slide? The moment you step outside, they'll attack. I don't think so, Hana said. She pulled up her research on the main display. I've been studying Vrin behavior for 6 months. They operate on strength hierarchies. The alpha challenged me for the cubs. I won. That's not an insult to them. That's their culture. Kelrith's hologram flickered forward. Dr. Kim, your theory is based on observation of normal pack behavior. But you injured an alpha. That is unprecedented. You cannot predict how they will respond. You're right, Hana said. But I can't just sit here either. Those cubs are bonding with me. They see me as their caretaker. If I don't integrate them back with the pack somehow, they'll never survive in the wild. Then return them now, Kelrith said. Before this gets worse. They're too young, Hana said. They can't hunt. They can't defend themselves. If I just throw them outside, they'll die. They'll die with you too, Deho said harshly. And they'll take you with them. Hana looked around the table. She could see fear in everyone's eyes. Fear for her. Fear for themselves. Fear of making the wrong choice. I understand the risk, Hana said quietly. But I made a choice when I brought these cubs here. I promised to protect them. I can't break that promise now. Captain Binwu was silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. You have 24 hours. If your theory is right, prove it. If not, we evacuate everyone and let the Union deal with the consequences. The meeting ended. Hana returned to her lab where the cubs were playing. They had grown noticeably in just the short time she'd had them. Their scales were harder now. Their legs were stronger. They were learning to hunt by pouncing on each other and on her feet. You're growing up fast, Hana said, picking up the smallest cub. It purred in her arms, a deep rumbling sound. But you need to learn from your own kind too. Not just from me. Taewon visited her that evening. The Union fleet will arrive in 3 days, he said. 3 warships. They're not here to negotiate. They're here to extract us. 3 days, Hana repeated. That's not much time. Kelrith is convinced we're all going to die, Taewon said. He's been studying humans for years, but he still doesn't understand why we do things like this. Like what? Like risk our lives for creatures that could kill us, Taewon said. His species evolved as prey. They run from danger. They can't comprehend why we'd fight to protect something. But that's what makes us human, Hana said. She looked at the cubs. We protect those who can't protect themselves. Even if it's dangerous. Even if it's stupid. That's who we are, Taewon smiled. Humanity, fuck yeah. What? It's something people say back on Earth. When humans do something crazy and impossible. When we survive things that should kill us. When we protect others at the cost of ourselves. Humanity, fuck yeah. Hana laughed despite everything. Yeah, I guess that fits. That night Hana made her decision. She would approach the pack at dawn. She would bring the cubs with her and show the alpha that she could care for them properly. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was probably going to get her killed, but it was the right thing to do. She spent the night with the cubs, memorizing every detail about them. The way the largest one liked to sleep on top of the other two. How the smallest one was actually the bravest, always the first to investigate new things. How the middle one was the gentlest, always careful with its claws. I'm going to miss you, Hana whispered as they slept. But you need your real family, not just me. Outside, the Vrin pack remained in their circle. The alpha watched the outpost with eyes that never closed. Its broken leg throbbed with pain, but it didn't leave. It couldn't leave. Those cubs were important, and the human who had beaten it was important too. The alpha didn't fully understand what had happened in that lab. It had fought countless battles and never lost. Never been injured so easily. Never retreated, but something in that moment had changed. The human had protected the cubs like they were her own. Had stood against an alpha without fear. Had proven strength. In Vrin culture, strength earned respect. And respect earned a place in the pack. The alpha made a decision. If the human came outside, it would test her again. Not to kill. To see if she was truly strong enough. To see if she deserved to be part of the pack. Dawn approached. The moment of truth was coming, and neither the humans nor the Vrin knew what would happen when it arrived. The sun rose over Vrikar in shades of purple and gold. Hana stood at the main gate of the outpost wearing simple field clothes and carrying all 3 cubs in a specially designed harness. They chirped softly against her chest, their small claws gripping the fabric. Behind her, the entire outpost population had gathered. 20 humans, all watching in silence. Some looked terrified. Others looked proud. All of them knew this might be the last time they saw her alive. Last chance to change your mind, Captain Binwoo said quietly. I know, Hana replied. Her hands were steady. Her voice was calm. But inside, her heart hammered against her ribs. Open the gate! Daeho, still recovering from his injuries, stepped forward. If they attack, we come in shooting. Protocols be damned. No, Hana said firmly. If they attack, you stay here. You seal the gate. You protect everyone else. Hana, that's an order, she said, even though she technically couldn't give orders. Promise me. Daeho's jaw clenched. Finally, he nodded. The gate opened with a heavy metallic sound. Hana stepped through. The moment she was outside the fence, 40 Vrin heads turned toward her. The pack had spread out during the night, creating a wide corridor that led to the alpha at the center. It was clearly intentional. They were giving her a path. Hana walked forward slowly. Each step felt like it took forever. The cubs sensed her tension and pressed closer against her body. She could feel their rapid heartbeats through the fabric. The Vrin on either side of the path watched her pass. Their eyes tracked her every movement. Low growls rumbled from some of them, but none attacked. None moved. It took 5 minutes to reach the alpha. The massive creature sat on its haunches, favoring its broken leg. Someone, probably pack members, had wrapped the leg in strips of tough plant fiber, a crude splint but effective. The alpha's eyes locked onto Hana, then shifted to the cubs. One of them peeked out from the harness and made a small sound. Hana slowly knelt in the dirt, making herself lower than the alpha. A sign of respect, she hoped. She carefully opened the harness and took out the cubs one by one, setting them on the ground in front of her. The cubs stumbled forward on shaky legs. They had never been outside before. Everything was new and overwhelming. But they recognized the alpha's scent. Something deep and instinctual told them this creature was important. The largest cub approached first. It walked right up to the alpha and touched its nose to the alpha's scarred muzzle. The alpha rumbled, a sound so deep Hana felt it in her bones. But it was gentle, almost tender. The alpha leaned down and sniffed each cub carefully. Then it looked at Hana again. This was the moment of truth. Hana reached into her bag and pulled out medical supplies, the same ones she had used on the cubs. She held them up so the alpha could see. "Your leg," Hana said softly. "Let me help." The alpha didn't move. For a long moment, nothing happened. The entire pack watched in absolute silence. Even the wind seemed to stop. Then slowly, the alpha extended its broken leg toward Hana. Hana's breath caught. It was allowing her to approach, to touch it. She moved carefully, keeping her movements smooth and predictable. When she reached the leg, she examined the makeshift splint. "This is good," she said, knowing the alpha couldn't understand her words but hoping her tone conveyed meaning. "But we can do better." She carefully unwrapped the plant fiber. The alpha flinched but didn't pull away. The leg underneath was swollen and bruised. The bone had been set but not perfectly. Hana pulled out a portable medical scanner from her bag. She ran it over the break, checking the alignment. The data appeared on her datapad. "The bone is healing wrong," she said. "I need to reset it. This was going to hurt. A lot. And if the alpha responded with violence, she would be dead before anyone could help her." Hana placed her hands on the leg, feeling for the break point. The alpha tensed, its muscles coiling. A warning growl started deep in its chest. "I know," Hana said. "I know it hurts, but I'm trying to help." She found the break, took a breath, then pulled and twisted in one smooth motion. The alpha roared. The sound was deafening. Several pack members jumped to their feet, ready to attack. The cubs scattered, terrified. But Hana didn't let go. She held the leg steady, feeling the bone slip back into proper alignment. Then she quickly wrapped it with a real medical splint from her supplies. The splint would hold the bone perfectly and inject local painkillers to help with the agony. After 30 seconds, the alpha stopped roaring. The painkillers were working. The leg was properly set now. It would heal correctly. Hana sat back, her hands shaking. The alpha looked at its leg, then at Hana. Something changed in its eyes. Some deep understanding passed between them. The alpha leaned forward and touched its nose to Hana's forehead. Gentle, deliberate. Then it made a sound, complex and layered with meaning. The entire pack responded. They stood and made the same sound back. It echoed across the grasslands, a chorus of deep rumbles and high whistles. Hana didn't know what it meant, but she felt the emotion behind it. Acceptance, respect, recognition. One of the cubs climbed back into her lap. The other two followed. They didn't want to leave her. The alpha watched this and rumbled again. This time other pack members approached. Females, Hana realized. Mothers who had raised cubs of their own. One of them came close and sniffed Hana carefully. Then it lay down beside her. An invitation. The cubs could stay with Hana, but she would need help raising them. The pack would provide that help. Hana felt tears sting her eyes. They were accepting her, not as a human, not as an outsider, as a member of the pack who had proven herself worthy. "Thank you," she whispered. She spent the next 3 hours with the pack. The cubs played with other juveniles, learning to wrestle and hunt. The adult Vryn brought food and shared it with Hana. She couldn't eat raw meat, but she accepted it with gratitude and stored it for the cubs. The alpha watched it all from its resting place. Its leg would take months to fully heal, but it would heal correctly now thanks to Hana. Back at the outpost, everyone watched through long-range cameras. They saw Hana sitting among the Vryn, saw her interacting with them like she belonged there, saw the cubs playing without fear. "I can't believe it," Young Mi said. "She's actually doing it." She integrated with them, Taewon said in awe. A human integrated with Class 5 apex predators. Captain Binwoo opened a channel to the Union station in orbit. "Ambassador Kelrith, are you seeing this?" Kelrith's voice came through, stunned and confused. "I'm seeing it, but I don't understand it. This shouldn't be possible." "Maybe you don't understand humans as well as you thought," Binwoo said. In orbit, Kelrith sat with his science team, reviewing all the data they had collected, the footage of the alpha extending its leg to Hana, the sound analysis of the pack's acceptance ritual. The behavioral observations. She didn't conquer them, one scientist said. She earned their respect. By fighting? Another asked. By fighting when she had to, the first corrected, and by helping when she could. She protected the cubs, then she healed their alpha. She demonstrated both strength and compassion. Kelrith felt something shift in his understanding. His species, the Thessians, had evolved as prey animals. When they encountered predators, they ran or hid. When they found injured predators, they stayed far away. The idea of approaching danger, of helping something that could kill you, was completely foreign to their nature. But humans were different. They came from a world where they were both predator and prey. They understood both sides. They could fight with the fierceness of apex predators and care with the gentleness of nurturers. They're not just deathworlders, Kelrith said slowly. They're something we've never encountered before. A species that can adapt to any role, any situation. What do we call that? A scientist asked. Kelrith didn't have an answer. As the sun reached its peak, Hana returned to the outpost with the 3 cubs. They were exhausted from playing and fell asleep immediately in their habitat. Hana was exhausted too, but her eyes shone with excitement. It worked, she told the gathered staff. They accepted me. They understand I'm protecting the cubs, and for how long? Deho asked. He wanted to be supportive, but his security training made him cautious. What happens when the Union fleet arrives? What happens when the cubs grow up? I don't know, Hana admitted. But I made a connection today. A real connection. The Alpha let me heal its leg. The Pack let me join them. That's something we can build on. Young Me stepped forward. You're going to keep going out there, aren't you? Every day, Hana said. The cubs need to learn from both me and the Pack. They need to understand both worlds, human and Vryn. You're raising them to be bridge species, Taewan said, teaching them to interact with humans while remaining true to their nature. Exactly, Hana said. Over the next 2 weeks, Hana established a routine. She would spend mornings in the outpost, teaching the cubs basic commands and safe interactions with humans. Then afternoons with the Pack, letting the cubs learn hunting and social skills from other Vryn. The Alpha's leg healed slowly but correctly. It began putting weight on it after the first week. By the second week, it could walk normally again, though it still limped slightly. The Pack's behavior around the outpost changed too. They stopped treating it as a threat. Pack members would come close to the fence, curious about the humans inside. Young Me started treating injured Vryn who approached. The Union dropships descended through Vrakar's atmosphere like falling stars. There were 6 of them, each carrying 10 Marines in full combat armor, 60 trained soldiers equipped with weapons designed to handle any threat in the galaxy. Commander Theros led the landing force personally. He was a Skaran, a species that resembled Earth's dinosaurs with scaled skin and powerful jaws. His people were natural warriors, and he had little patience for what he saw as human stubbornness. All units maintain formation, he ordered, as the dropships touched down near the outpost. We're here to extract civilians, not fight predators. But if those creatures attack, you have authorization to use lethal force. The Marines deployed, their powered armor making them look like walking tanks. Their weapons hummed with charged energy cells. Each soldier was trained to handle hostile environments, but none of them had ever faced a Vryn Pack before. Hana was already there, standing in the open ground between the outpost and the Pack. The 3 cubs stayed close to her legs, now large enough that they came up to her waist. Behind her, the entire Vryn Pack had gathered. 40 apex predators, all watching the newcomers with wary eyes. The Alpha stood beside Hana. Its leg was almost fully healed now. It could fight again if necessary. Commander Theros exited his dropship and approached Hana. His armor made hydraulic sounds with each step. He stopped 20 meters away, assessing the situation. Dr. Kim, he said through his helmet speakers. I'm Commander Theros. I'm here to bring you and your people to safety. We're already safe, Hana replied calmly. Theros gestured at the Pack behind her. You're surrounded by apex predators. One of them nearly killed you. One of them challenged me, Hana corrected. I won. That's how their society works. Their society? Theros sounded skeptical. They're animals, the Alpha growled at that. Low and threatening. It understood tone, if not words. Hana placed a hand on the Alpha's shoulder. A gesture the Pack had learned meant peace. The Alpha quieted but continued watching Theros with hostile eyes. They're not just animals, Hana said. They're intelligent. They have social structures, communication systems, and cultural norms. I've integrated with them. That's impossible, Theros said. No prey species can integrate with predators. Humans aren't prey, Hana said simply. Captain Binwu emerged from the outpost with Daeho and Young Mi. They positioned themselves between the Marines and the gate. A clear message that the Marines weren't welcome inside. Ambassador Kelrith's voice crackled over the communications channel. He was still in orbit, watching everything through satellite feeds. Commander Theros, perhaps we should discuss this situation before taking action. There's nothing to discuss, Theros replied. My orders are clear. Extract the humans. Your orders didn't account for this, Kelrith said, and there was something new in his voice. Respect. The humans have accomplished something unprecedented. We should document this, not disrupt it. I don't care what they've accomplished, Theros said. I care about their safety. One of the cubs, the smallest and bravest one, stepped toward the Marines. It was curious about their armor. About the strange metallic sounds they made, a Marine raised his weapon. Don't, Hana said sharply, but it was too late. The Marine fired a warning shot into the ground near the cub. The energy blast created a small crater and a shower of dirt. The cub yelped and ran back to Hana. The Alpha roared. It wasn't the same sound Hana had heard before. This was pure rage, the kind of rage that came from seeing a child threatened. The entire pack responded, surging forward as one. Hold fire, Theros commanded. But some Marines panicked. 3 of them fired at the advancing pack. The energy blast hit 2 Vrin, wounding them but not killing them. The injured predators fell back, but the rest of the pack didn't stop. They charged. No, Hana screamed. She ran forward, putting herself between the pack and the Marines. The Alpha nearly trampled her but skidded to a stop at the last second. 60 weapons trained on the pack, 40 predators ready to attack, and 1 human woman standing in the middle, her arms spread wide. Everyone stop, Hana shouted. Just stop! For a moment, no one moved. The Marines held their firing positions. The pack held their charge. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. Then the 3 cubs ran forward and positioned themselves with Hana. They stood between their pack and the Marines. Just like Hana, protecting both sides from each other. The Alpha saw this, saw the cubs standing with the human, saw them choosing to protect rather than attack. The Alpha rumbled a command. The pack stopped advancing. They held their positions but didn't attack. Theros lowered his weapon slightly. What are they doing? Learning, Kelrith said from orbit, his voice filled with wonder. The cubs are learning from Dr. Kim. They're learning that violence isn't always the answer. Hana turned to face Commander Theros. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead where the Alpha had nearly hit her, but she ignored it. Your Marines fired on a juvenile, a child. The pack has every right to be angry. They attacked us, Theros argued. You scared a cub, Hana countered. You fired first. In Vrin culture, that's an act of war. And in Union law, predators that attack civilians are eliminated, Theros said. These aren't just predators, Hana said. They're people. Different from us, but still people. And I'm one of them now. That statement hung in the air. The Marines shifted uncomfortably. Theros stared at Hana like she had lost her mind, but Kelrith understood. She's right, he said over the channel. By their social standards, she's a pack member. Attacking them is attacking her. That's absurd, Theros said, is it? Kelrith asked. You said you came here to protect humans. Well, this human is telling you she's exactly where she wants to be. Are you here to rescue her or capture her? Theros didn't answer immediately. He looked at Hana, standing with 3 massive predator cubs flanking her. Looked at the Alpha, who watched her with clear, protective intent. Looked at the pack, who had stopped their attack because she asked them to. Stand down, Theros finally ordered his Marines. Lower your weapons. The Marines obeyed, though many looked uncertain. The pack relaxed slightly but remained alert. Young Mai ran forward with her medical kit. She went first to the wounded Vrin, not to Hana. She knelt beside the injured predators and began treating their wounds. The pack watched her warily but allowed it. They shot us first, Young Mi said calmly as she worked. The least we can do is help. Hana smiled despite everything. That was so perfectly human. Hurt someone by accident, then immediately try to heal them. One of the wounded Vrin made a soft sound, something between a growl and a purr. Young Mi had given it painkillers. The relief was obvious. The Alpha approached young me slowly. She froze but didn't run. The Alpha sniffed her, then rumbled approval. It returned to Hana's side. "They're allowing you to help," Kelrith observed from orbit. "They understand you're trying to heal, not harm." Theros removed his helmet. His reptilian face showed confusion and something else, curiosity. "How long have you been doing this?" 2 weeks, Hana said. "Every day I bring the cubs to the pack. We learn from each other. And they just accepted you?" "After I proved myself," Hana said. She gestured to the Alpha. "I broke its leg defending the cubs. Then I healed the leg properly. I showed I could both fight and care. That's what earned their respect." Theros looked at the Alpha's leg. The limb was almost fully healed, wrapped in human medical materials. "You healed an apex predator that nearly killed you." "I healed a parent protecting its children," Hana corrected. Theros was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt and placed his weapon on the ground. A gesture of peace. The Alpha watched him carefully. Then it made a sound, complex and layered. The pack responded by sitting down. "No longer ready to attack, I think," Theros said slowly. "I may have made a mistake." "We all make mistakes," Hana said. "What matters is what we do after." Over the next 3 hours, a fragile peace was established. The Marines withdrew to their dropships but didn't leave. Kelrith came down from orbit personally, wanting to see the pack up close. The Vryn allowed it, though they kept their distance from the newcomers. Hana demonstrated how she worked with the cubs, teaching them to respond to commands, showing them how to interact with humans safely. The cubs performed perfectly, understanding both Hana's words and the pack's signals. "This changes everything," Kelrith said as he watched. "The Union has always classified species as either predator or prey. We never imagined a species that could be both. Humans aren't both," Hana said. "We're neither. We're adaptable. We can hunt like predators and cooperate like prey. We can fight like warriors and nurture like parents. That's what makes us human." "Humanity, fuck yeah," Taewon muttered from nearby. Kelrith's feathers ruffled. "What?" "It's a human expression," Captain Binwoo explained. "It means humans do impossible things. Things other species can't or won't do. Like taming apex predators," Kelrith said. "Not taming," Hana corrected. "Befriending. There's a difference." A message came through from the Union Council. They had been watching everything. After deliberation, they made a decision. "Earth is hereby granted unrestricted colonization rights for all Class 5 death worlds," the message stated. Furthermore, humans are reclassified as Class 1 deathworlders. No other species in Union history has successfully integrated with apex predators.